bit rubbish, but I've got to get back into it. It's been a long time since I made a video. I'm pretty rusty. It's lovely to be back. I thank you all for your good wishes and, in some cases, prayers. I've had a bit of a battle to get better again, but I'm not too bad at the moment. I've actually went to hospital this morning just to have a cataract done, and they decided not to do it, so I've got a bit of a funny eye. They've got some stuff in it. Well, obviously without going on about it, I've been in the hospital a few times, but I'm certainly getting better now. A bit chesty at times, but today is a wonderful day in a way, because I've been married for 43 years today, 1978. So it's a nice day. I'm glad I'm here to celebrate it. As I've explained to you when I've done videos before, I can't edit. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue. I've only just found out what Hit That Bell is. But really, I'll just come on and make these videos just to, well, I've had a lot of response, and a lot of people have asked me to just carry on when I can. That's what I'm going to do. Basically, you can't really see on here, but I've got very small hands. I'm a very small bloke. I'm actually sitting on 2 cushions now on an ordinary chair, and this little finger is just about the length of an AA battery, so you can check that yourself. But what it means is and I found out since I made my first video some time ago, there's an awful lot of people in the world who've got really small hands and short arms and short fingers, and they find it very difficult to play the guitar. Well, you just have to persevere. I'm here to try and give you, not tuition, but just give you a few tips about things that I've learnt when I've had difficulties. One thing I've always learnt is never give in. It's usually a way around a problem if you can stop and think about it and get around it. So I'm going to sort of show you a few things that I've learnt, and maybe repeat a little bit from what I've done before. The first thing is I've got to explain that a lot of things go wrong when you get older. One of them is you don't have much of a memory, and I'm certainly suffering from that. I'll probably rub it on a bit, and I might even dribble. And don't forget the dropping of food. That's a really good sign of old age. And yesterday I had spaghetti for dinner, and when I looked at my shirt, it was like I got a multicoloured waistcoat on. Anyway, the wife stuck it out with me for 43 years, so she knows what I'm like. I've got to use notes. I don't have a memory, so if you see me looking around, it's not that I'm distracted, it's just I'm trying to read up on what the heck I'm going to talk about. Anyway, so on the previous videos, I explained to you not to be put off by long-fingered guitarists, because I can't believe how, no disrespect, because they're brilliant guitarists. Most of them can play guitar far better than I can, but they seem to want to, they have this urge to tell people that are suffering with short fingers how to play the guitar, and they haven't got a clue. You can't possibly explain to people if you don't suffer from it yourself. I mean, just one little thing that I thought of just before I started doing this is that when you got long fingers, you come down vertically onto the strings, press them down on the fret, and you get a nice clear note. If you've got short fingers and you're reaching at an angle, and what you tend to do without meaning to, instead of coming down to get a crisp note, you end up either dulling it or pushing it away from yourself. And they're all things that you've got to learn a little bit extra to what people that are gifted with long fingers have. Anyway, my advice is to, if you do watch what they do, is to take it with a bit of pinch of salt, because they think there's no problem, and they just don't understand. If you're that short of a finger that you need to reach a note, what can you do about it? well, what you can do is try and find little ways around it, try and modify it and try and find a way that suits you. So anyway, there's a few things that have stuck in my mind over the years that, and I haven't played a great deal lately because I say I've been ill, so I've had to sort of go back to square one a little bit. But don't give up, keep trying. So well, I'm going to just talk about one or two things now. The first thing is in that song there, which I completely wrecked and ruined for Bob Dylan. He'll never forgive me, but I'm sorry about that. Is what they use, or what I use in it, called, if you play an ordinary G chord, I'm going to assume that most of you've got just a reasonable knowledge of particularly open chords. But if you look at a G chord, the one that I know that has the one that's been for a long time, you basically press your third fret first string, second fret fifth string, third fret sixth string. There's variations to that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But sorry, I'm going to correct that. I'm going to talk about the G chord in a minute. What I want to talk about is the D chord over an F sharp. Because the D chord, you usually play the first four strings, not all six strings. But if you had an F sharp, which is the second fret on the sixth string, you can get this lovely bass note coming in, and quite a lot of songs use it. Now, one of the difficulties to that is small hands, because a lot of people will play it with, like, when they're playing a bar chord, but also you see a lot of people, particularly in country and westerns, they play, like, a lot of chords. They play the D, but quite a few chords they play using the thumb on the bass string. So instead of doing like a bar chord, you'd do it. Now I can't reach that. That was an F that I just played. There's no way I can reach that using the thumb on the bass string. But with a D, I can on using the F sharp over the G string. Go. So just remember that when you put, I'm waffling a bit here, but when you put your thumb over, most people have quite a bit of thumb could go over like that. But if you're short fingered, you won't. What I tend to do is when I'm playing a chord, if I want to play that bass string, I can't quite reach to put it down properly. I'll curve my wrist over. I'll curve round like that to bring it round. But it's a nice thing to add to, particularly if you're in a lot of songs, if you're playing in the key of D. What they call that is a G over F, or G/F sharp. G over F sharp, I mean. Now, let's go on to the G's, which I started off on. When you look at G, so in that song you've got a G, a C, an E minor and a D. Now, there's another way people play today, a modern form of G, which I didn't know until fairly recently. But what they do is where instead of the three strings that I said earlier, they also put a finger on the third finger on the third fret on the second string. So you get those two strings being played. And then you go, so you get an ordinary G like this, and then the newer G sounds a lot fuller, and a lot of modern younger people use that chord. But the advantage of that is also it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, what I call a cheats way. But you can play where you play a G, C, E minor, D. You can play like this. You can play G, C add 9, E minor 7. have to move your fingers. It's just, it's so easy moving. So look those up and so that's another way. That's the way you can play it. It's a bit easier if you learn to use both fingers on the first and second string. Now, something I've spoke about a lot of times is the F chord. It doesn't matter whether you've got long fingers or short fingers. The F chord or the bar chord. And F is a very popular one that's used an awful lot. People get put off with this, and some people play a short version where they don't use a bar, they just use their fingers, they play it like this. They play not using this bass string. I can't do that. I've learnt to play with a bar, and that's the way I play, and I find it a tremendous advantage, because if you can play with a bar, you can play. You can move all the way up the fretboard, and you get a different key every time. Now, this is my way. I don't know how other people. I've seen comments by other players saying, "Oh, learn the F chord. It's easy," and you think learn several different ways. To me, a very easy way is if you know the chord of E, which is a lovely chord. Nearly everybody I've ever seen play it with the first finger on in the first fret, the first finger in the first fret on the third string, and then the second finger on the fifth string in the second fret, and the third finger on the second fret on the fourth string. You've got to be a mathematician to do all this. Which I'm not. Anyway, so if you play the E with those C fingers, great. I do sometimes, a lot of times I do. You can add a seventh, a minor. Right, so what I do is I play it with those three, leaving the first index finger free. Now, if you can learn to just play with those three fingers, look, let me take this capo off for a minute, because show you at the top end where it might make more sense. So you're playing with those three. If you play with these three, I know I can't see it very well, but so it's leaving that one free, move it up one fret, put that finger down hard, there's F and all the rest going with it. So that's the easy way to me. That's how I learned it. So I think I had on the original video I did some time ago now, because I've been off the road for a little while, I think I had nearly 270,000 hits and about getting on for 3,000 subscribers, and very few of them told me that they had shorter fingers than me. I think 2 or 3 said they had the same length of fingers as me. So I think I talk with good authority. Don't be put off playing a guitar if you've got small hands or short fingers, because there's a way around it, and you just have to keep trying and learning little techniques. Now I'm going to show you. I told you about the difficulty where when you're trying to reach a note, a string, and you tend, because you've got short fingers, you don't come down vertically, you tend to come at an angle and you push the string away. So try and keep your wrist round as much as you can so you can come down as vertical as possible. Now I'm going to talk to you a minute about capos. Now I've spoken to you about this before. This is an incredible thing if you've got short fingers that long finger guitarists wouldn't have a clue. If you put I'll put it up here where you can see, but if you can put a capo on there. Now what that capo does, the bigger it is, the more it prevents you reaching chords, because this finger, you haven't got enough length to curve round and over like that. So I've looked for capos everywhere. That one is okay if you're not going to play chords such as a B7, an A minor, an E, because they put your hand in such a position that when you've got a cap on there, they put your hand, you have to curve your hand round to reach those chords in such a position that the capo gets in your way. So I've had several different ones. Now, the best one I've found for the job is this one. Now, I'm not going to tell you any makes because I'm not advertising anybody. You'll have to look it up. It's quite an expensive one. But what it's got a very small bar holding the strings down, and not much in the way of anything in the way of it when you're playing down here. And your fingers can, even with short fingers, you can reach over them. But what I also tend to do, I tend to put the capo on the strings. You've got to get close to the fret on the 6th string because it takes a lot of holding down. Instead of putting it flat like that, a lot of guitarists do, I tend to put mine a little bit more like that, and I move it away from the fret, away to the next one, as far as I can go without killing the note. You must get a clear note, so I end up with probably something in the region like that. Just about, yeah. That is so that you've now got free movement if you're playing here. Worst of all is B7. That finger's really pushing against that capo hard. So, that's something that I try to... The other thing I really ought to point out, one of the dangers of a capo is, and I still have trouble with this, if you take an A minor or an E, but particularly an A minor, the capo tends to push your fingers. When you put your fingers down, it tends to slide your fingers down the neck a little bit more, and you get a very poor chord. It tends to, because the capo, your fingers are too close to the capo, you haven't got enough length to reach over. Long fingered guitarists just go over the top of it, doesn't matter. So try and practice if you're fairly new, try and practice an A minor. Always concentrate on keeping it in the right fret, those two fingers there. Because otherwise, anyway. Yeah, so a very good capo. The reason I don't use it too much, and I don't know if I got a faulty one, but this little arm that swings over to hold it down, you virtually need a pair of pliers to move it. It's so blooming stiff. So it's not, although it's the best one for giving me room to play, it's not the best one for putting on there, especially if you're in a hurry. So I tend to go for this one lately, this sort of thing. Not too bad, it's pretty good. And I only use this sort of capo because it's so much bigger and bulkier. I only tend to use it if I'm not likely to be playing the chords of B7 in particular, A minor, E, and chords like that. So there you are. I'm just about going to wind up for today because I mean, on previous videos I've told you a little bit of stories of my life and how I used to dress like the Beatles and ride a motorbike and couldn't find any. The only way I could stop was to find a curbstone to put my foot down or I'd fall off. And the village dances that we used to go to. And I thought on occasion the other day we used to have to go and fetch water from a pump in the village on the side of the path in the village, and you've seen them pumping these pumps of water. You had to fetch it in buckets of water. Well, I'm such a small bloke. In those days I was a really tiny little thing, and I couldn't lift the bucket after filling the water. It cost me nearly all my ration of sweets to get a bigger bloke to carry it for me. And you find solutions, and I might have mentioned before, but when I went to secondary school, I got bullied a lot because I was small, and I thought I've got to do something about it. So I made friends with the biggest bloke in the school, and he was called Tank Farley, and if you'd put him by, he'd have made Arnold Schwarzenegger look like a little midget because he was so big. once I made friends with him, I saw a few very tearful boys going home on a school bus, but I never had any trouble after that. And it's not very nice finding a violent way, but you have to find a solution and don't give up. Just keep trying. You'll get there if I can do it. And I'm still doing it now, and I'm 77 now, and I still get a great deal of enjoyment out of guitar. I find it's a wonderful thing to, if you're feeling a bit down, to pick your guitar and have a little sing and get yourself in a good mood. So, you know, all the best, and thank you for all your kind wishes, and I hope this is not too boring for you, this particular video, but I've got to get back in the swing of it again. Anyway, cheerio, all the best, bye bye.